So a big part of using photos is being able to edit and adjust photos. So I've gathered a few here that we're going to use for tests. And we're going to look at all the different ways that you can edit and adjust them. So to begin editing a photo, let's double click and go into a photo now. So you can see we're in it. We've got the timestamp there at the top. We can see the photo here. We've got the editing buttons and sharing buttons and other things here on the top right. We're going to use the edit photo button, which looks like a series of slider controls here. And that takes us into the editing mode. Now, it's not an app like Photoshop where you can draw on a photo and cut things out and manipulate it and that kind of thing. It's more about adjusting the photo itself. So you're not going to be doing major edits, but you're going to be adjusting the look of the photo. And all the different things you can do are listed here on the right. So we're going to go through them one by one. But for this lesson, we're just going to stick to the simplest of them all, which is the Enhance tool. The Enhance tool doesn't actually have an interface. You just click it and it enhances the photo, and that's all it does. The rest of these are going to be much more detailed. So let's use the Enhance button on this photo here. I'm just going to click it and the photo will change. In this case, it significantly brightens up and it seems to adjust the contrast as well. What the Enhance button does is it basically analyzes the photo, comes out with some sort of average contrast and average brightness setting for it. So a darker photo will become lighter, a lighter photo will become darker, something with not enough contrast will get more contrast. Now you can, at any time when you've edited a photo, no matter what you've done to it, all this stuff here, you can revert back to the original. This is a very important concept and something important to understand about photos. Photos is what's called non-destructive. It's a non-destructive editor, which means when you make a change it doesn't destroy the original. It's not writing over it. So you could always make changes, see the changed version here, and that's the photo from that point on, except you have this revert to original button. And it's not just because we're right here editing it and we've just made this change. This revert to original button will continue to be there when you go back to look at this photo later. You can go back tomorrow, you can go back next month, next year. There'll be a revert to original button. You can always go back to the original photo no matter how many changes you've made to it. So let's use it right now and you see I've reverted and go back to the original. So I can enhance and then revert. If I was doing any of these other things like adding a filter, cropping, rotating, I can use that revert button. Now I can also use an undo button. So I'll enhance and then under edit there's undo, Command Z. And that will undo if I made a series of changes, because I could do a whole bunch of these things, and I can undo each one to go back in steps. Revert to original though is always going to take you back to the first step. And when you are done, when you've made a series of changes, maybe you can make 4 or 5 changes, you'll be able to go back to the photo and you might not be able to undo, but you will always be able to revert to original. So you've got that always, you've got to have it in the back of your head always that anything you're doing here isn't permanent. It's just something that you can always bring back. In the past people have done things like duplicated a photo. So you say, oh, I want to make changes to this photo, and sure enough you can actually duplicate a photo pretty easily. So you can go to image and you can duplicate, and you think, great, now I can take this, and it actually calls it version 2. I can take this and I can make changes to this and I've got this original here. It's not necessary because you've got the original in the second one as well. So you go to this one, let's enhance. There we go, done. Now we've got these 2 versions here. They even look a little different now in their thumbnails. And if I wanted to, I can go back to this one, edit, and revert to original. So I don't need to do that. Not particularly anyway. Sometimes there's still a need to duplicate. For instance, if I were to crop, as we'll be trying out later on, you may want to have a crop version and you want to use that crop version, share it with people, but you may also want to have the original available for easy sharing. If you had just the cropped version, the only way to get back to the original would be to revert, and then you would no longer have the cropped version. So there's still sometimes a use for it. But in general, there's really no need to worry about the original version. It's always going to be there in your library when you need it. So now we're going to go look at these other filters and try them out. But first I want to go through the other photos here and let's see what enhanced looks like. So here's this photo we enhanced right there. You can see how it definitely brightened it. Contrast, much more color contrast in that. We've done this one already. Here's another one. Definitely brings out a lot of the background. Very small change here. Much bigger change here. I could definitely tell that this side of the tower is lit up more than this side once I've enhanced it. Brings out those colors. Again, much brighter. Now here's a key one. This is a pretty dark photo. Look over here. Look how dark this is here and how the elements in this part of the photo are kind of just all hidden. Enhance, and it really brings it out. The leaves that are coming out that are green are really green now. And now I'll enhance this one brighter, and that's it. And I can revert to the original. Notice I'm using the arrow keys to go between these, so I can be in editing mode and I can go between these photos using the arrow keys in editing mode. Make it real easy to go through them. This button up here will actually show you the current album you're in at the bottom, and you can jump around while sticking to editing mode. And you can see if I use the arrow keys, I quickly jump through. So it's a nice feature to keep in mind as you're editing, this little tool here. You can also zoom in right here, and then you have a hand you can click and drag to move around to see parts of the photo. So if we wanted to look at how well this enhanced, I can zoom in here to these. Let's do the enhance. You can see how those pop out. The light definitely shows better now. And then when you're done making changes, whether it's just an enhance or you're going to make a series of changes, you can hit the done button, and now you've come back out of it to the original photo. And here I'll go back up to the album level.